Okay, go ahead and tell us your name.
My name is Bisi Alimi. I'm originally from Nigeria, but I live in the United Kingdom.
So, could you tell us what you think multinational corporations could do to stand up for equality in countries like Nigeria to send a message to their workforce and the consumers in Nigeria?
I think the first thing is that the multinational organizations need to know that they have a place in promotion of human rights and the protection of human rights as well. And the next step is that that promotion and protection doesn't have to be just in their own country, but they can also um, carry that message across the world wherever they have businesses and wherever they have staffs that are working, because they have to understand that in Nigeria they will have staffs who are lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender who are also needing them to support them both at home and at work. And I think it's time now that the same protection that workers in multinationals in the UK, in Europe and America, that they are getting the same benefits and protection that they are getting, that the same is extended to wherever in the world these multinational companies are operating.
And so, what specifically could corporations do in Lagos to send the right message?
I think there are layers and categories of things that can be done. Number one is to engage with the government of the country, of Nigeria, for example, and making them understand how harmful such laws that criminalize same-sex relationship will have on businesses, and have proved to some extent on how it's reducing productivities in comparison to countries where these rights are respected and promoted. And number two is to provide a safe space within their working environment for their staffs who are struggling with their sexuality because of the environment and society they find themselves, to be able to not really come out but have an environment where they can work freely and promote and get to their high productivity level. I think the third one for me is that they need to start investing in training around diversity. I think it's important that they create an environment where people, most especially at the senior management level, can understand the different components of diversity. So it's not just about sexuality, it's about gender, it's about disability, and so many other layers of exclusions that might occur because of certain factors in life, and creating an enabling environment based on training and retraining of staff and senior management on diversity issues. And I think this should then lead on to them encouraging staff to sign a pledge of promoting and upholding diversity at the place of work. And then this leads to, realizing and promoting diversity champions within both within the working area but also outside of the working area. I strongly believe in compensating bravery. And until we're able to create a platform that can compensate, Nigerians who are staff of Coca-Cola or who are staff of Apple, for example, and who are supporting diversity, to actually know that, I get commendation at work, and this will encourage other people to be able to do more. Um, it's not going to be a cut clear approach, but it's possible. It's something that, if tried, can set a domino effect all over the continent of Africa.
And do you think this could potentially harm or help the brand recognition of of these companies that are forward leaning in a place like Nigeria?
The important thing is there's no approach that is dangerous. It is whoever is executing the approach. So it depends on how this approach is carried out. I would not expect any company to go to Nigeria carrying the rainbow flag or being very forceful about promoting diversity. I want a company to actually create the foundation to build on. And like I said earlier, the foundation is training and retraining of their own staffs, and using their own staffs who are locals of that country to become diversity champions of taking the messages across, not foreigners. Use the local people that you have trained and trained and trained all over again to go into the community and spread the word. And by the time the companies want to get out, there's a huge crowd of supporters waiting to accept a very progressive company. But without doing all these things and wanting to promote diversity, most especially when it comes to sexuality, you will receive backlash, like in the case of Nigeria. The company will likely suffer, and basically might get the wrath of the people and also the government that might lead to the company leaving. And I would not want that to happen. I know the LGBT community in Nigeria would not want that to happen. We want companies to work in Nigeria to promote jobs and opportunities and reduce poverty, but at the same time, we have to be done strategically.
What do you think the head of a multinational corporation in Nigeria could say to somebody like the finance minister of Nigeria to make her understand that diversity and equality is good for business?
I think there's a fact that there's the notion that we think that these people don't know. They do know. They understand these things. But the problem is, how do they translate it to the government that they find themselves in? And it's about the support that's given to any progressive politicians within the context of Africa or the context of Nigeria to be able to project more what they believe in. And I think that is the first step of companies supporting politicians who are progressive, giving them the opportunity and the platform to project their voices. And number two is having a dialogue with politicians, not a very patronizing dialogue, but a very clear dialogue on what the impact of discriminatory laws we have on businesses and on the staffs, and how that will reduce productivity. Maybe it's time for companies to start investing in research, on social researches that has to do with what is the impact of lack of diversity on the economy of a particular country, and then translating these and having this conversation with government. It's important that it doesn't have to be sexual issues only, sexuality issues only. There should be issues around gender as well, disability, and put this together and let people understand what the impact of exclusion will mean for business and for profit.
So where would you like to see business in Nigeria 10 years from now?
Matching with LGBT people.
So could you just repeat the question, because I'll probably edit myself out.
Oh, okay.
So 10 years from now.
Okay, 10 years from now, I want to see businesses, big corporations in Nigeria marching down the street of Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt with LGBT people and their allies, possibly will have defeated the law by then, and will be out on the street celebrating with our families and our friends and having sponsorship from big companies around the world. It is possible, and that is why many of us are doing what we're doing. But we also need to understand that it will take us time together. It's not going to happen now, but the investment has to start now. And that is where businesses come into play. They have to understand that as part of the 10-year plan is that there will be time where nobody will know what we're doing, but we have to invest a lot of money, energy, and personality, and that is what matters.
And what would you, if you could ask the head of a big international company in Nigeria to say one thing to the head of state or senior government, what would that be?
If I have one thing, I want the head of a big corporation to say to the president of Nigeria, I think the one thing is that diversity promotes productivity, exclusion destroys a nation. And that is very important. That is a language, not just of development, but a language of humanity. And that is what sometimes the leaders don't know.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome.